Hey guys, Stacy with Chapter Chicks, and today I'm going to be doing a review on Jellicoe Road by Melina Marchetta. This book was recommended to me by Elena Peanut. She actually recommends a lot of good stuff to me, so thank you to her. This book, just get right into it. This book, first and foremost, gets 10 stars. Loved, loved, loved it. If it could get more than 10 stars, I would give it more, just because it was so good. I loved it. The only thing about this that I really don't like, and I just because I'm weird about recycling and stuff like that, this, if you could see this book, look how big a margin right here, and right here, the text is on all these pages. I mean, every single one of like that, and I just think that's really just a big waste of paper. I think they should have filled the page out or made the book fit the text, but it's just like that's a lot of space that goes around this whole page, and I really didn't like that when I was reading it. But story wise, this book was amazing. Um, it's really kind of hard to explain, but I'll do my best, and I'll still do my spoiler section, and I'll tell you guys before I get to that. There was this girl named Taylor. She was given up by her mother. She was kind of abandoned by her mother, and she goes to this boarding school. And at the age of 11, when she first went there, she ran away, but she was brought back by a mysterious stranger. That's what the back says, so don't freak out. The person who runs this school, her name is Hannah, and she's kind of like Taylor's mentor. She and Taylor are really close. Taylor lives with her, and her house is off campus. And so what happens is, there is, okay, this is explained kind of on the back of the book, but I'm just going to explain it in a little bit more detail so it's less confusing, but it is on the back of the book. The town that they live in, there's kind of like three groups in it. There's the people who go to the boarding school with Taylor, and there's the cadets, which are a group of kids training to be in the army. They kind of set up base there a couple months out of the year. And then there's the townies, the kids who actually live in the town. Every year there's a territory war between which land, because these three groups can't get together, these three groups can't get along, so there is a territory war. And Taylor finds herself head of the academy, or the boarding school kids, and she's the leader. And the leader of the cadets is a guy named Jonah, who was the guy that she ran away with. And so, yeah, that's what the back of the book says. Oh, there's one more thing in that it says. And then Hannah disappears, and she's the one adult that Taylor has depended on for so long. So, yeah, that's it. That's what it says on the back of the book. It's really good. It's very confusing when you first pick it up. I'm not going to tell you why, because I debated back and forth if it was a spoiler or not, because you kind of find out. I don't know, because, you know, you're very confused the first, they say, 5-10 chapters, to the point where I was going back and I was rereading it and like, what is going on? This is not making any sense to me. And then around, I say between chapters 5 and 10, I'm really not sure. It starts to make sense, and it starts to fall into place, and it makes you want to start all over, just because now you understand what's going on. But I don't know if I should explain that part to you, because it's really not that big of a deal, but it is very confusing. All I can say is keep with it. Don't give up on it, because it is very good. Very good. I debated back and forth whether I should say what it was or not, but I'm not going to. So, yeah, I loved this book. Really, really good. Melina Marchetta, is one of my favorite authors now. Seriously, because I read this, and she also wrote Finnegan of the Rock, which I just recently read too. I'll be doing a review soon. And she is a very unique author. I loved it. I mean, both of her books I really loved. She has such a different way of looking at stories, and a way of describing and these concepts she comes up with are just so original and so out there. But not too out there. Really good author. I mean, you should really check her out. I really, really like Taylor. I love her as a female protagonist. I think she's a really cool character. She's very independent. She's very strong-minded and strong-willed, and she's very, very brave. And I just love her. I really do. I just love her. I think she's a really cool character. When we did our top 5 female characters, she was one that I picked because I just love her. I really do. Yeah, so go check out this book. It gets 10 stars. I'm going to go into the spoiler section now of the video, where I will be talking about what was confusing me so much. So if you want to watch for next couple minutes and find out what that is, or if you're really spoil freak, you don't want to watch it, I don't know. But I'm spoiling, so if you don't want to be spoiled, then stop watching. So, what was really, really confusing me was, Hannah, the adult that Taylor was living with, she is writing a book. And this book, there's just pages of it scattered everywhere. It's not in order and anything. So Taylor, she loves the story. She just reads it here and there. And you're not being told that it's a story. So you're just kind of like get into these chapters where it starts talking about other characters and other people and other places. Oh, it's the same place but different people, and you're confused on what's going on and what happened to the characters that were in the previous chapter. But after you figure that out, you're like, oh, that's so cool. And I was just like reading it, like trying to hurry up and read and get to that story again because I loved that story that Hannah wrote in it. There's a point in the book when you realize that the characters in Hannah's story are not just characters she made up, that they're real people, and you realize that these are the people that are in Taylor's life, or not in her life, but 2 of the characters are her parents, and the other 2 characters are people that she has met. One of them's Hannah, one of them's the candidate's leading officer. So I loved that side story. I loved it so much. I thought it was so cool. And before it says for sure who everybody is, I'm like sitting there like, okay, who's who? I know she's Hannah. I know she's her mom, but who's these guys? And I loved it. And you just could not wait to find out what happened to her father. I mean, I couldn't. At the end, I was kind of confused on what happened to her father, because it just kind of says that her dad disappears, and then it's like towards the end it doesn't really give a definitive answer of what happened to him. It just kind of says that that one guy was shooting in the trees. One of the friends was shooting in the trees, and he hit her dad, and her dad just died. It didn't go into much detail about what they did when they found out and stuff like that. It just kind of like, and that was so sad because this group of friends I really loved. There was 2 girls and 3 guys, and I don't really remember all their names. I know one's Hannah, I know one's her mom, and one's her dad, and one's the town person who went crazy. But I loved those side stories, that side story. I thought it was so cool. And there's one part in this book that I really, really didn't like. And, I mean, this book was so good, I'm reading it, and then I get to this point in the book, and I'm like, oh, really? It was so good until she threw that in. And that's the part when Taylor finds out that when she was little, she was put in a child pornography film. And she meets the other kid who was in it with her, and he's the one who tells her about it. And I really didn't like that part. It was just really such a bad part. I hated it. I wish that was cut out. I really do. Just because it doesn't dwell on it, but it does kind of put a damper on the book. It really does. I really hated that part. Let me know if you guys hated that part too, because it was, ugh. Favorite scenes in the book, that was my least favorite. My favorite was, I think my favorite part, there's a lot of really good parts, but I think my favorite part is when Taylor has figured it all out. She knows where Hannah is. She knows where her mom is. And she goes and she gets to talk to her mom. And she really tries not to blame her for everything that happened. Since she ran Hannah's story, she knows a little bit about what her mother was going through at the time of losing her father and how connected she was to him. And And after that child molesting thing happened, her mother knew that she wasn't a proper parent, so that's why she went and gave her to Hannah, because she knew Hannah would do better. And just when you finally get to figure out everything and all the questions that you've been asking the entire book are finally answered, that's my favorite part. The only other part that I thought was kind of weird was, and I just thought it was a weird element to the whole book, was the dreams that Taylor has about her father. She finds out in the end that it's her father, but she has these dreams about her father as a boy climbing around in trees, and he kind of gives her clues and talks to her, and I just thought that was kind of weird. I mean, I really didn't think it played too big of a part in the book. It was just another kind of part where you're like, what the heck is going on? It was a little confusing. I didn't like that part. So tell me what you guys liked about it, what you didn't like about it. When you do put your comments down below, if it does have a spoiler in it, make sure to put a couple stars and then spoiler real big so people who haven't read it won't accidentally read them. Um, yeah, besides that, and let me know what your favorite male character was, because there was a lot of male characters in this book, and I think my favorite was Jonah. He was so sweet and so sincere and so patient with Taylor and everything, and when he found out about what happened to her when she was a kid, he just went off and tried to protect her from it as much as he possibly could and talk to her about it. I just loved him. Loved him. So let me know what you guys thought about him. Again, 10 stars. If I could give it more, I would, just because it is so, so good. This girl, she knows what she's doing. Yeah, so this is Stacy with Chapter Chicks, and this chapter was for you.